Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson. I will be your guide for today. Today, I'm going to chat about what it actually looks like and channel through messages, what it actually looks like in the higher frequencies when we step into these higher frequencies, and also an explanation of why this actually happens. So, for instance, say you are doing the shadow work, you've had the tower moments, you've started to come to a point in realization how you can accept all that's coming to you as a reflection of who you are, and that you're accepting you're the creator of your reality. You're learning to support everything that you are full-heartedly. All of this, it would start to allow you to have a space within your mind. And when you have a space within your mind, it gives you an opportunity to be able to connect fully to your soul mission, your soul, your intuition, and your imagination. Now, your soul will start to teach your imagination how to use it. And there are specific missions, people on a mission to activate their imagination and teach others how to do it as well. So we've got physical person outside of us who we can go to connect to and learn how to use their imagination appropriately, again, because we've never been taught that, right? Our schooling systems just completely poo-pooed it, even though it's pretty much a lot to do with how we create our reality and where we're going to. So once we get all of that in order, we start to have a space within our mind, and it connects to new abilities coming forth. So we might start getting these aha moments of clarity, and if you ask a question, you will be led and guided to specific answers, and this is your soul guiding you there, and then also gifting you dreams, knowings, just like channeled messages, telepathy, will all start to feed through into your reality. And then you start realizing you don't need to look outside yourself for anything. It is all within. When that starts to occur, when you start to get into that juicy stuff, what happens is you expand your reality. So all of a sudden, if you come to the realization that the universal language is telepathy, you have a connection with everything that is outside of you through the wisdom of that frequency that has created that object outside of you. So in an instance, a leaf would hold wisdom. Everything that is alive holds wisdom, and source energy rolls through all of it, like oneness rolls through all of it. So you have the ability to be able to connect and to assimilate the information and to use it to your advantage to learn to create something for yourself and the journey that you're moving towards. So all of this ability starts to expand your reality. We're no longer just looking at the physical side of things to learn from and dissecting animals and leaves and finding out about photosynthesis and all that. We're literally expanding our reality to find wisdom of the energy itself and what it holds and what information comes through. So can you imagine, with all the different life forms that's on Earth, how much that expands your reality, as well as the beings from other planets that want to communicate with you and so forth. It just becomes so overly expansive. So in that, you're igniting things, you're igniting your DNA. So, you know, they always say, I don't know how much percentage, something like, I'm just going to say 10% is easier. 10% of your DNA is activated, 10% of your brain neuron paths are activated, and we can see 10% of what's out there in our physical reality as in space. Well, all of a sudden that starts to ignite, because it's memory that's already held within your DNA, and the DNA and the memory that it holds is literally just lying dormant, waiting for you to accept that as part of something that you can use in your reality. You don't need to accept everything from your imagination of your soul's lineage of what it's gone through from planet to planet to planet and frequency to frequency, or whatever, wherever it's resided. You can literally pick and choose the bits that make sense for you in this reality and what this program is all about as well, because we have to have a grounding that our logic will understand it as well. So I'm channeling all of this information through for you guys so that you get a better understanding. So the logic will be holding certain grounded expectations of the program that we have found ourselves in, and that expectation is specifically designated for humanity and the evolution of humanity and their growth, so that we can adventure into becoming what we might call, perceive now as mini gods or creator gods within our own reality, creating something brand new for ourselves at least. So yeah, it has to be grounded in the logic for the logic to be able to accept it, for it to be able to be put into action, for us to be able to create it in this reality as well. It has to come together as unity between logic and imagination and intuition. We're not going to poo-poo either side of us, because then we just literally throw ourselves back into a warring zone again, and in reflection, out of balance, we become a warring zone outside of ourselves, where something will always take over and try to manipulate our reality, whether we're looking outside ourselves for it, or whether we are overexerting our imagination and becoming not etheric and too etherically whimsical and not grounded in this program that we want to experience, right? We came here to experience this. The juicy stuff that comes up with this, because then when you get to that point, you're grounded with Gaia herself, and she has a lot of information and wisdom to be able to share with you, but also the ignition of neuron paths, DNA that starts to ignite as we go along, literally creates outside of us a new, we start to see things in a new frequency and a new perspective. So our mind can handle a lot more. So our mind is accepting more. So in other words, we might start to see little lights flying around in the forests, and they are the elementals. Or we might start to see that there is way more luminescent mushrooms growing in our reality. Or luminescent plants, that frequency that is ignited us in our DNA and our mind, in our our connection with everything, literally expands our perception of reality. So we end up having new frequencies that we can perceive. So colors look more vibrant, but also new colors come into our spectrum. So we're literally we could tap into, say, for instance, X-ray, or they're telling, there's like a purple one that they're bringing up. Sorry, I can't think of the word at the moment. They'll probably give it to me in a minute. Ultraviolet. And so we can tap into all of those as well. It's almost like everything that we see outside ourselves and the wisdom that other animals hold, we can experience if we allow ourselves to tap into that frequency too, without losing who we are. So the most important thing, and coming back to ourselves now, is to ground ourselves and know thyself. Once you know thyself, that you are, what you're bringing to your world, you end up using that personality, that expression of self to create something new from who you are. Okay, I'm just trying to understand what they're bringing through there. So yeah, outside of us, we might start to see luminescent plants all of a sudden will pop up in our reality. We'll go out to the forest. First things you might see is a luminescent mushroom, because they actually do exist. I know I tripped up over them myself all of a sudden. And you'll see that animals might start acting different around you. So for instance, I went for a walk through a forest at nighttime and had hundreds of these fireflies just follow me as a guiding light down a path for 20 minutes in this forest. So, but so long as you hold that higher frequency, that higher fun, innocent, childlike frequency, that when you move into that, you will start to see, sometimes that's telling me sometimes things might come in as shadow figures, but the shadow figures is literally us starting to tap into a new frequency where there is some other energy residing, being residing, and we see them first as kind of like a shadowy figure. It's kind of like they're bringing up Dr. Fred Alan Wolf with a 2D flatland, and then someone sticking a finger from 3D in the flatland, and they see it's just this finger. Instead of seeing a finger, they see this thing coming in like this. It's just a 2D blob, and then when they lift the finger out, it goes down. So whenever we're experiencing into the other frequencies, sometimes they come through as shadow figures. Not to be afraid, because they're literally us starting to see into those different frequencies, and it comes through as black for some reason. Okay, they're telling me it's because black, when we put all colors together, energetically it turns to white, but materialistically it turns to black. So if you got all the different colors of the rainbow and put them one over top of the other on a piece of paper, it turns black, it doesn't turn white. If you have go and step into frequency and you have white, all the different colors and frequency, it turns into white. So because we're in a material bound program, we will see these energies coming through as shadow figures first. Sometimes depends if they're coming from an energetic point of view in their reality or not. So they can come through as spirit balls as well and things like that, but that's because they're coming through still from their energy point of view, not materializing in our reality. What else can I tap into for you when we step into these new frequencies? The thing that inspired me on this actual video was a photograph of Andromadian in the sky. If it was brighter, then it would be seen in the sky as an actual galaxy, like sitting, and it would have been about a couple of the size bigger than the full moon, sitting up in the sky. And I realized then when I clicked into it, it's kind of like it ignited me to realize, of course, when we're in those higher frequencies, everything does shift in our reality because our mind can handle a lot more color, a lot more perspective of reality. And so that things do become brighter. So for instance, the Andromadian starts shining, you start to actually physically see it in the night sky. And how beautiful would that be to look in the night sky and see another galaxy up there, right? Okay, what else? Okay, they're bringing up crystals now. So crystals are still a vibrational energy within itself, and we will start to be able to communicate with the crystals like in their frequency as wisdom holders, record holders, and this won't be something that's just coming from whimsical imagination. It's coming from actual connection and telepathic communication to these crystals. There's going to be people out there that have missions specifically for crystal gridding and crystal holding and crystal communication as well. So I'm going to do another video though on more missions, because they're bringing through more missions for me at the moment. What else? Okay, they're bringing up when I went into higher frequencies, when they took me there, I woke up with absolute clarity of mind, and to remind ourselves that that's where we go. Like at the moment when I'm talking to you, my mind is completely 100% on this channeled information. It's not wavering into the past or into the future. If it does, I start to lose the connection. But when we're in that specific energy, we can like start to, yeah, they're bringing up a couple of things here. Communicate with energies of mountains, trees and all that. So actually parts of Gaia herself, and the energies that feel from mountains is something of being itself, which is really interesting. It's a beautiful feeling. Okay, and then they're telling me that at the moment, like I'm telepathically communicating with through higher beings straight to the Akashic Record as well. So we're sort of like pulling this through together. But there'll be more people that will start to ignite into being able to be telepathic, and then we will start to have this communication and flow go between us. Okay, the other night I saw in my mind's eye very clearly somebody that was on Facebook that is of high frequency as well, and they just like their face just appeared in my mind and then disappeared. And I talked to him and asked him whether he was thinking of me at the same time. I wanted to see if there was telepathic communication. They're telling me that is just the initiation of starting to get used to each other's energies before that literally will start happening, because we are still waving in and out of imbalance to balance, while these frequencies are heightened at the moment for humanity to shift into these newer vibrations and acknowledge their intuition, their imagination as absolutely just as important as their logical side of themselves. But to get back to the actual stepping into new realities and what it looks like, so there's more vivid colors, there's more initiations into other frequencies, there's knowings that will happen, there's a much softer, gentler feeling. It's just coming from love more than, because you cannot enter those spaces unless you come from the vibration of love and self-acceptance fully, 100%. And a lot of us, like even myself, I can hold it for a certain amount of time, and then I almost need to take a rest, even though it's falling back into my logical brain taking over, and it's uncomfortable. It's almost like taking a rest from this beautiful place, which is interesting. But we will keep doing that for a while until it really ignites fully and we stand present in that. And I will end up stepping into that fully, integrating my higher self within myself to become present and grounded in this reality. It's kind of like last night I had a feeling of I wanted to go home, and then the message came, well, you bring home to you, so you become that you want to become when you step into home, if you imagine yourself stepping into home. So really, and absolutely any one of us can do this. that is of light worker mentality and experiencing these higher frequencies. What else can I bring through for you guys when we step into the other realities? They're telling me that if anyone's taken certain narcotics, certain medicines that help them lift into those frequencies for a moment in time, you would have experienced like flashes of, if you look up at the stars, you see flashes. You're literally starting to see into those different into what we can step into when we become this without the drug. We don't need the drug because it resides within us in the DMT, within our pineal gland anyway. But you can only enter that from a balanced mind. That is the lock and key. Nobody can enter into that without, not for very long anyway, without having that balance within themselves first, and absolute self-support of who they are. So your colors become more vibrant. We'll be able to have communication with animals. Architecture is a whole other story. So we are learning to create our own reality, and not everything that I say is everything, okay? Because there's a lot of people out there that have vaster imaginations as well from their planetary connections that can bring in even more than what I'm talking about. So I'm only coming from my own perspective of what I know and my soul knows and what I can accept. But I know that from my perspective that we will have the ability to emanate light from our hands and solidify that with our imagination, that energy into actual materialization. So we can create homes just by imagining the light coming out of our hands and then creating the wall with our imagination, with the clarity of our mind, and then solidifying it. So that's one ability that's quite an advanced ability though, but that can happen on Earth. And I want to bring up everything that can happen with humanity so that we have something to reach for, because if we don't realize what we're reaching for and what our abilities are, then we end up getting caught in the loop of what the program is and that limited consciousness. Also, we can work with Gaia herself, and she will literally, the elementals know how to do this very well. So if you're connected to the elementals, you'll probably love this, where Gaia will literally grow trees that are big enough for housing, grow vines that create housing, create caverns within in her that you can create realities within that. You can step into other dimensions that are on Earth that have different realities as well. You can also do what we have learned to do and create physically on top of Gaia, but not just as we did in the past, where we didn't even communicate with Gaia at all. But this time we will say, okay, I want to build a house physically with my hands and see what I can build. And that is absolutely just as justified in our ability to create. But we will communicate with Gaia first and ask her, is this land okay to be able to create on? Can you please let all the animals know to leave unless they want to pass on. And so you have a communication going with Gaia as well when you're actually structurally putting into action, creating a stable home on top of her. So everything that would be made, though, will be conducive with the program of nature itself, rather than going against nature. So anything that is very difficult for nature to absorb, although everything is in nature, but anything that goes against the law of the natural creation, or isn't in flow with it, let's put it that way. That's trying to tell me words I'm trying to put into, because it always comes through as feelings, right? So I have to translate it within my own words, what they're trying to talk about. So there's everything that will be created in these higher frequencies will have a natural flow with the nature of things. So in other words, something that's going against nature falls away. There has to be a conducive, easy way of consuming and creating for the material world. And that's what we've just learned about. We don't want to be producing stuff that is hard for it to be consumed and to create, because it goes against the grain of what this natural program is. And but we will always be supported in the fact that everything will be structurally viable for us to live in for as long as we wish, because it has a natural evolution of itself. We can create things that have a natural evolution, longevity for it to withstand our lifetime. And usually it would break down after our lifetime if it is something that's on top, because that gives space for our children to create something different, create something new, to expand their reality, and not live in some structure that somebody else passed down to them just in case they didn't have something to live in. It's more of a faith and a trust in our next generation that they have the ability to jump off the etherical cliff into the abyss of creating their own reality. Yeah. So I think I'll leave it there. That was a lot of channeled information. I literally last night feel like I got a really bizarre thing happen to me, and kind of, whether it be an activation or alignment or some sort, something happened to me last night, and I can feel this clarity within myself. And I'm so grateful for all the bookings that I have for the intuitive counseling, because interacting with all the different light workers, and that they came and saw me within the last couple of weeks, I truly believe we've had an exchange as well. So as much as us helping you guide you into your gifts, there was also an exchange that I got too energetically, and it awoken me to even more of who I am, because I was literally living in that etheric world for quite a long time. So yeah, thank you so much for all your support. Love you guys heaps. Till next time. Bye.